I'm Chris Bowes, I'm from Discrete Heat. Thank you for joining my webinar this evening. I'm one of the domestic project managers at Discrete Heat and I help people day to day with their heating solution. So some of which that I'm going to cover today in the presentation is what ThermaSkirt is and how it works, some of the features and benefits of the product, and I'll wrap it all up in a nice summary at the end. And if you've got any questions, my colleague will do their best to answer if you just pop it in the chat. So I'll just share my screen now so we can all see the presentation. Let us know if you can't see it or if you're having any technical issues. So we probably wouldn't be here if we had no idea what ThermaSkirt was, but essentially it's just another heating alternative to underfloor heating and radiators. But it's disguised as a skirting board in an aluminium panel, as you can see from the pictures. It's used in both retrofit and new build programs and is now extensively being used by a vast amount of developers. One of which the name is actually Barratt's, one of the largest UK house builder. So I'm going to leave you with the technical director of Barratt's and Channel 4's George Clark with their thoughts on ThermaSkirt before we get into the nitty gritty.
There's some great stories around the Z House.
And I mean, obviously we can't physically see it. I wish we were there having a look around it now, but just paint a picture of what it's like in terms of design and innovation.
Yeah. I think the most important thing for me was that the Z House looked normal. So the Z House is actually called an Alderney. It's one of the houses we build many thousands of. We have 400 sites, so we're selling a lot of these, so we know customers like the house. The second most important thing was that you could be green in this house without having to try, without a change to your lifestyle. So if you were to walk up to the Z House, you wouldn't know that it was a zero carbon home. And if you walked around it, except for an air source heat pump on the outside, which wouldn't be normal in today's house, and some of the innovative heating systems like infrared and skirting boards that deliver heating, you wouldn't know. You'd just live a normal life, but actually you'd be saving 70% of the energy that you'd usually use. That's quite a lot, isn't it?
So skirting boards deliver heat energy?
Yeah. So you'll know with the air source heat pumps, the temperature of the water reduces down to 40, 45 degrees, so you need a lot more surface area. The problem in the houses is surface area delivered by radiators mean they could be quite big, and where radiators get in the way of furniture and other things. So Salford University actually introduced us to this innovation where the hot water goes into the skirting board. But all of your skirting boards are the radiator.
So you've got no other radiators in the house?
So in the Z House I have, because I'm testing. But actually in some of the other houses we're now trialling, we won't have radiators. We'll either have skirting board heating or underfloor heating.
So multifunctional skirting board?
Yeah.
Love that.
And what's great about it is that you can also put electric down it. So as you know, as we move further along the zero carbon agenda, we're going to really concentrate on fabric.
So the skirting board's a bit like ductwork for running services?
Yeah. So as you know, in offices, we've regularly ran electrics, haven't we, down the service. Here, we're running hot water in the skirting board. There's some great...
So as Oliver mentioned, we are going to have to think about how we are going to be more efficient with our heating systems. And how Barratt's will do this with their new build houses is by insulating very well and using heat pumps to power their central heating, running at really low flow temperatures. Now if you have a gas boiler, you can also be efficient with your heating system too. By reducing the flow temperature around 60-55 degrees, obviously you'll increase the efficiency of your boiler. However, with what obviously developers are experiencing, and if you do reduce your flow temperatures, you are going to have to increase the size of your emitters. So with radiators, you'll be looking at either double or triple panel radiators to heat the room, or increasing the width massively along a wall. This isn't particularly aesthetically pleasing for developers or one of our 80,000 customers that we have to date, which is why they're looking to use ThermaSkirt more and more, and we're more prominent in the market, as obviously we fit a nice aesthetic heating solution that's efficient and works really well. Now, to really see the conversion of a radiator to ThermaSkirt, I've got a table here just to show exactly that. So these outputs are at delta T20 or 45 degrees flow. So typically what a heat pump is going to be running at. So to the left we've got the double panel radiator size, and to the right we've got the equivalent length of our Deco BM2, our 2-pipe system, and our Deco BM3, which is our 3-pipe. So if you had a room that had a heat loss around sort of 500 watts, in order to meet that demand, you would need a 1 meter long double panel radiator to meet those heat loads. Whereas if you were using ThermaSkirt for the 2-pipe system, you'd only need 11.7 meters of available wall space. Whereas with a 3-pipe, obviously it's a little bit bigger, so larger surface area, you need even less. So only 7.5 meters of available wall space. So essentially, ThermaSkirt eliminates the aesthetic and practical compromises involved with radiators with the increase in the size of the emitters. Now, with boilers, how they're actually rated and tested, they run at condensing temperature, which is around 50 to 55 degrees. So what our customers have been doing is been designing at these flow temperatures and getting ThermaSkirt in order to meet those heat demands. And we've been seeing them save around sort of 20% on their energy bills. Hence, it's going to be 20% more efficient than the radiator systems that they already have. So some customers have been taking it one step further and be getting heat pump ready and future-proofing their property. They do this by removing the radiators, designing at really low flow temperatures such as 45 degrees. So when it does come to swap out their boiler, it's all ready to go. So they've got their heating emitters, they're ready for the heat pump, get rid of the boiler, put the heat pump in, so it minimises the amount of disruption and it makes it more practical for a low flow heating solution. So I've got a diagram here of how ThermaSkirt actually works. So we've got a central heating system powered by a heat pump, and you've got your main flow and return going obviously all throughout the house. Then you're teeing off into 15mm copper or plastic going into the ThermaSkirt. This is where the water energy transfers into the ThermaSkirt and that radiates into the room. The ThermaSkirt is either controlled by a manual TRV, similar to like a radiator, but it's at skirting level of the dial, more neater than a radiator sort of TRV. You turn it 1 to 5, very simple. Or you can go sort of more the underfloor heating side with a manifold control system wiring centre. So you've got that flexibility there. So not only you got flexibility with controls, but you've got flexibility of the flow temperature as well. So it goes from all the way from 35 degrees to 70 degrees with ThermaSkirt. So it's the perfect interim solution whether you're getting a heat pump possibly in the future and you want to keep your gas boiler, or if you've got an oil boiler that goes to around 70 or even higher as a flow temperature. So the reason why ThermaSkirt is more efficient is because it's made of aluminium. As aluminium is a very good emissivity of heat, or has a very good emissivity of heat, and it's essentially one squashed and stretched radiator that distributes evenly all around the room rather than just a single point. So you get all the simplicity of the install of a radiator where you just use two 15mm pipes, but you get the distribution of heat similar to underfloor heating where it's all around the room. So what shows this really well of this particular thermal comfort is the test data done by Bizria. So they tested 2 rooms, 4 by 4 meters, as you can see here. So to the left, you've got 800 watts of convected heat, which was delivered by radiators. And to the right, you've got 800 watts of radiant heat delivered by ThermaSkirt. So as you can see from the hottest point by the radiator itself is around sort of 22 degrees. And as you get further and further away, the coldest points were 17.2, 17.1 degrees, which is obviously quite substantial within a room that's that small. That's 4.8 degrees from one side to the other. Now if we look at ThermaSkirt, the differential of temperature was significantly better and hence more comfortable. where it was only a differential of 1.8 degrees. So very similar to underfloor heating. So with radiators, in order to adapt for this lower flow temperature, they have to triple in size essentially, so that's a correction factor of 0.3 in order to achieve the same heating as you see from the diagram. So what BizRia found is obviously it's significantly more comfortable using ThermaSkirt, but we were 13% more efficient with the heating. So not only that obviously we're more efficient with like for radiators, but we're trying to be more sustainable as a company as well. So this is just showing how ThermaSkirt goes from raw aluminium all the way into someone's home as a heating system. So it starts off in a company in North Wales where it gets extruded and sent to us here in Allerton. We get other components from the West Midlands, Lancashire, all sorts of covers, connections, where we test and assemble and package, all ready to send over to distribution, such as City Plumbing, who then send it on to their smaller branches to the homeowner, or directly to obviously larger projects, like a large apartment or new build projects. So with our sustainability, the recycled aluminium that we use is up to 98%. So obviously it's quite high, trying to reduce our carbon footprint. And all parts that we manufacture is 100% within the UK. So we're really trying to not only reduce everyone's heating bills and be a little bit more green in terms of central heating, but as a company as well, reducing our carbon footprint. So obviously with that test data, it's very clear that ThermaSkirt is very efficient, it's better than a radiator. We're trying to be more efficient as a company. Does the product actually work? So I've got a case study here, a real life one from a gentleman named Nigel Delves. So this is his particular property. It was a 17th century cottage, so quite old, quite high heat loss. So lots of glazed areas. So essentially, Nigel would have had to have many radiators within a room, really ruin the aesthetics of what I was trying to go for. And retrofitting underfloor heating would have been an absolute nightmare and cost a fortune as well. So he found us, and that's where he was very impressed. Obviously, we were the best of both worlds. We got all the ease of install with the feeling of underfloor. So Nigel, he had the BM3, so the 3-pipe for the ground floor and the 2-pipe for the first floor. And the reason we use the 2-pipe or the mix is because the ground floor usually has higher heat losses, whereas the first floor has less. So you don't necessarily need to have one or the other throughout the house. One great example of why Nigel went for us, as you can see from the picture, that is our heated threshold, which is essentially our 2-pipe system on its back that's colour matched, in this particular instance, to black. So all these zones were plumbed back to a manifold with individual room thermostat control, that was Wi-Fi enabled. So it was able to control each room with a thermostat, similar to like an underfloor heating system. And here are some great examples of the 3-pipe on the wall to the left, and you have the 2-pipe to the right. So you've got the bedrooms area at the bottom right, and it really looks very aesthetically pleasing. And even though you've sort of like got the mix of different profiles, you can't really tell. Now to the top right is actually our 2-pipe system on kitchen plinths. So we actually attach it on the plinth area to get a nice even heat distribution all around the room to keep you comfortable throughout. Now it works great on an old build. This particular one was on a boiler. Now how does it work on sort of new build projects on lower flow temperatures? So this is what we've done with Kingswood. So this is our second case study that we're looking at on the webinar. So Joel Winders, he is the commercial director of Kingswood Homes. He was having an extension done and found our product and was very interested in using it, obviously got it installed, and was so impressed that he wanted to use ThermaSkirt for his projects within Kingswood, where he proposed it to his other colleagues, And they're doing it this year, and it's been very positive. Customers have wanted to use ThermaSkirt as an option, and it's picked up quite significantly. So we've designed this to have the 3 pipe on the ground floor, the 2 pipe for the first floor, so similar to Nigel. We've got the Taurus capping profile rather than the square edge to match their current skirting, so it gives it a bit more sort of a traditional look, or more aesthetically pleasing if you like the style of the capping. And we've met the heat loads for an air source heat pump, so it's actually designed at 45 degrees flow. And here's just a few examples. So it's powered by the manual TRV, so similar to like a radiator. You turn it 1 to 5. And I'm going to just leave you with a very popular video. It got 25 million views across our social media platforms of how we actually install ThermaSkirt by removing one of their radiators. So this really goes to show how simple ThermaSkirt actually is to install. So we drained the radiator down, took it off the wall, removed the skirting boards, and now we're preparing the pipe work for ThermaSkirt. So we've put it all, prepared it, put the brackets on. The pipe works, just plugs in, simple as that. Covers just click into place. And that's it. So dead simple. We've saved a lot of space there, and obviously improving the thermal efficiency of that particular room. So great example, Kingswood. If you do know them and you want to pop by, feel free to pop in on their show homes if you are interested. But yeah, great video that shows how easy ThermaSkirt is to install. So obviously it works great with those case studies. What do our other customers think? So this is actually our Trustpilot. We have been going for over 15 years now. So this shows some great examples of where we helped our customers all the way from 2012, 2015, still going today. And we support our customers throughout with any parts, or actually parts that they need. So obviously feel free to go on our Trustpilot or go back on the video and have a look for yourself. But as you can see, great results, lots of 5-star reviews. Obviously the product and the company speaks for itself. So, you know, we've got great reviews, very efficient heating system. Now what obviously it will come down to is some cost at the end of the day. Will it cost an arm and a leg? Are you going to have to remortgage this house to have this amazing heating system? So this slide here just shows you just some example costing. This particular project was a new build, so it was quite well insulated, but it was designed to use for a heat pump, so at a low flow temperature. So we've got red lines where we've got the heated skirting, and as you might sort of notice straight away, is that we're not actually on every single wall. So typically with ThermaSkirt, you're only usually on 50 to 75% of the walls with heated skirting. Then you can either use our dummy MDF to match, or provide your own matching skirting if you've got quite a sort of similar skirting profile. So for the cost of this particular house, for the materials only, we have the ground floor area at £2,032.76 for ThermaSkirt, and then the first floor was £1,529.10, bringing to a total of £3,561.86 for the whole house. Now the savings we're making for this particular customer, they were comparing against sort of bog standard radiators, so nothing special. So the radiators and auxiliaries, they were looking at around £1,100. The savings of 15mm pipe and lagging, as you don't have to get to the extremities of the room with ThermaSkirt, so we're making the savings there. That was £300. And the supply, install and painting of skirting, that was looking at around sort of £1,200. So we've got a total here that we're saving around £2,700 for the customer. So for a whole house to have something that was more efficient, space saving, and obviously looks 100 times better than a radiator, you're only looking at an uplift of around £800, which in the grand scheme of things is not really that much. Now, if we were comparing against what we should be looking at is designer radiators or even designer aluminium radiators, you'll see the cost comparison come obviously a lot closer together, and sometimes even ThermaSkirt being cheaper than sort of like the top brand designer aluminium radiators. But you're getting the benefits of the distribution of heat and efficiency. So just to summarise everything that we've got and looked at today, so obviously I'm sure we can all agree ThermaSkirt is a space-saving and aesthetically preferable alternative to radiators. It works with a wide variety of temperatures, all the way from heat pump, sort of 35, 45 flow, all the way up to oil boilers, so 70 plus. It comes with a 10-year warranty and is very robust. So it's been tested with the NHS with a robust product test, so have a look online, there's a video with that. So there's no maintenance requirements for ThermaSkirt as there is with radiators, so there's no air that builds up after commission, and there's no sludge as well as it's made of aluminium. Hence it makes it safer and cleaner to live with, and it's not this big metal box that's on your wall that you can trip on. It's 100% manufactured within the UK, and it's made of 98% recycled aluminium, the heated skirting. We've done over 80,000 systems to date, have over 15 years of experience, we've seen it all over the years. So if you do want to get in touch, we're here to help you. There's my email there if you want to email in, or our direct office line. You can also fill in one of our inquiry forms as well, just to upload some floor plans to get the ball rolling. But yeah, thank you for joining my webinar this evening. Hope and had some questions for the chat that we managed to answer. If you've got any more specific sort of questions, or would you like us to have a look at obviously your project, email in, we can take it from there. Thank you for joining this evening. Look forward to seeing you soon. See you later. Bye.